Hey guys, we are continuing our information about Chapter 4, the Punic Wars. So I wanted to share this with you. This is just a little bit of background information to Chapter 4. And I'll go ahead and read this and you can follow along. Under the Republic, Rome began to grow by conquering neighboring territories. By 340 BCE, Rome dominated central Italy. By 295 BCE, it dominated the entire peninsula. Gradually, Rome began to acquire territory elsewhere in the Mediterranean. Rome's major rival for power in the Mediterranean was the North African city of Carthage, founded by Phoenician traders. Phoenicia was an area in the eastern Mediterranean in what is today known as Lebanon. Between 264 BCE and 146 BCE, the Carthaginians and Romans fought 3 wars. We read about these last week. They were called the Punic Wars after Punicus, the Roman word for Phoenician. The First Punic War lasted more than 20 years, from 264 to 241 BCE. When the war began, the Carthaginians had a navy of several hundred ships, and Rome had no navy at all. The Romans realized they could not defeat Carthage or extend their influence into the Mediterranean without a formidable navy. They captured a Carthaginian ship and built a navy full of replicas. Okay, so basically they copied the Carthage navy. The Romans ultimately won the war, but not without losing 30,000 citizen soldiers. One of the fruits of victory was control of the island of Sicily. The Second Punic War lasted for 17 years and is noteworthy for the exploits of Hannibal, a Carthaginian general. Hannibal was the son of a general who had fought in the First Punic War and remained bitter about Carthage's defeat. According to one story, when Hannibal was still a boy, his father made him swear that he would fight against Rome until his dying day. Hannibal kept that promise. Rather than invade Italy by sea, Hannibal, who had already subdued most of the native peoples of southern Spain, decided to march from Spain to Italy. He marched across the mountains into Gaul, modern-day France, with a force of 40,000 soldiers, 8,000 horses, and 37 elephants trained for use in battle. A few months later, he led his army across the Alps, an astonishingly bold and dangerous maneuver. Hannibal lost almost half of his men and most of his attack elephants on the treacherous, icy slopes of the Alps. Despite the losses, Hannibal moved south into the Italian peninsula. The Carthaginians defeated the Romans in a series of battles, and after a victory at Cannae, seemed to be on the verge of taking Rome. In that battle, the Romans lost about 56,000 soldiers, while Hannibal lost only about 6,000. Somehow, Rome managed to survive these great defeats and rebuild its army. Rome even launched a bold counterattack, sending an army to Africa to threaten Carthage. This army won several major victories and forced Hannibal to return to Africa. The Romans met Hannibal's army south of Carthage at Zama. This time the Romans won. Although Hannibal himself escaped, the peace treaty that ended the Second Punic War allowed Carthage to keep its lands in Africa. But the Carthaginians were required to give up Spain and pay Rome a large amount of money. They were also forbidden to begin any war without Rome's permission. Carthage rebuilt itself after the Second Punic War, and for many years they abided by the terms of the treaty, not declaring any wars. Nevertheless, many Romans worried that Carthage was still a threat. They continued to think this even after Hannibal committed suicide, rather than turn himself over to the Roman authorities. For many years, a Roman senator named Cato concluded every speech he made in the Senate, no matter what the subject, with the Latin words Carthago delenda est. Carthage must be destroyed. When Carthage eventually did declare war on another country, the Romans sent an army to besiege Carthage. This was the beginning of the Third Punic War. The Romans surrounded Carthage and starved the city into surrendering. Then they burned the city. They killed many of the city's inhabitants and sold others into slavery. According to the legend, the Romans even poured large amounts of salt into the fields around the city to ensure that Carthaginians could not grow any crops in the future. This decisive victory made Rome the strongest power in the Mediterranean. Okay, so that was just a little bit of background information about all of the Punic Wars. We're just going to focus on kind of the first part of that and talk about some vocabulary words. So I'm going to switch on over to my document camera. Okay, so we're going to take some notes. You need a piece of paper and a pencil. This is Chapter 4, Punic Wars. Okay, so in this chapter there were some important vocabulary words. They were conquer, peninsula, and formation. Okay, we're in the part that we read. We did not read the whole chapter, but those were some important vocabulary words that we came across. Okay, so first we're going to write down conquer and its definition. Okay, so remember, conquer means to win control of a land and its people by attacking an enemy or fighting a war. Okay, so that was Rome's goal, was to conquer Carthage. To win control of a land and its people by attacking an enemy or fighting a war. Okay, that's our definition of conquer. To win control of a land and its people by attacking an enemy or fighting a war. Okay, so our next vocabulary word that I want you guys to write down is peninsula. Okay, a peninsula is a piece of land surrounded by water on three sides. So Italy, actually, the southern part of Italy is actually a peninsula because it's surrounded by water on all three sides. So let's go ahead and write that down. A piece of land surrounded by water on three sides. Okay, that's a peninsula. Now our last vocabulary word I want us to write down is formation, and it talked about how the Romans had to be in formation during the war when they were fighting. Okay, so formation is an orderly arrangement, such as in rows or lines. I forgot the letters, I'm just going to mark that out. Arrangement. Such as in rows or lines. Okay, that's what formation means. Remember, if at any time you need to pause the video so you can get these things written down, please do that. Okay, and one more thing that I want us to write down. This is very important because this is what this chapter is all about. Okay, we're going to write down what the Punic Wars were. Okay, so the Punic Wars. And the Punic Wars simply were wars that were fought between Rome and Carthage. That's what the Punic Wars were. And we'll read more about the Punic Wars as we go on. Please make sure that you have all of these notes copied down. Okay, so we've got conquer, to win control of the land and its people by attacking an enemy or fighting a war. Peninsula, a piece of land surrounded by water on three sides. Formation, an orderly arrangement such as in rows or lines. And then the Punic Wars were fought between Rome and Carthage. And that is all for today.